Okay, we are on our 5B practice test. Step 1, or number 1, we're going to use the synthetic division. Reminder, that's where we take whatever in our parentheses, and that's what we're going to synthetically divide. Do we flip our sign? No, so I'm just going to bring down -3. I'm looking at my equation. Am I missing anything? No, so we're just going to bring down those numbers. Okay. Reminder on your test, I really need you to double check your signs. That's what's going to cause you to get things wrong. So really double check those. At the end here, we're getting -11. Now, a reminder on this one, the end number is our answer, and we need to write this properly. So this is what we did. We did P of -3, so I'm going to say P -3, and what we got out is -11. Okay. On your test tomorrow, can you take whatever number's in the parentheses, synthetically divide it, whatever's at the end is your answer. Can we handle that tomorrow? Okay, questions on that one? Okay, our next one we are synthetically dividing again, but what do we notice the difference between this one and this one? There's no p's, so when I divide this one, what do I have to do with this number this time? Switch it. Okay, so I got to switch it. And then I look at my equation. Am I missing anything? Nope. Okay, so I bring everything down. And again, we're doing the same thing. So again, really watch out for your signs. That's where I'm going to get you guys on your test tomorrow. If you need to use your calculator, double check. Are you doing all the right signs? Things like that. Okay. This time at the end, I'm left with 1. Now this time, is 1 my answer? No. So reminder, the whole thing is my answer, and we have to remember to write it properly. If I start with x to the third, where do I need to start here? X squared. So I'm going to say 2x squared, and then reminder, you just go down there from standard form. So I'm going to say plus x minus 3. Now I have some people that are writing this last part wrong. I have a remainder of 1. So what do I need to write? Plus 1. So make sure I have the right sign, and then it's all over x minus 4. So whatever you were dividing by, that needs to go on the bottom here. Okay. If you do not have this sign here, I do have to mark it wrong, and I've been trying to correct that on all your homework. Okay. Do we see the difference between 1 and 2 and how we had to answer them? Okay, questions on 1 or 2? Okay, number 3, we're going to synthetic divide again, but before I even start this one, what do I notice? We're missing stuff. Okay, so we're missing stuff, so always look for that, because if you don't put in that missing stuff, everything's going to be wrong. So I see I'm missing 0x to the third, and we're missing 0x. Okay. Again, what do I need to do to the -2? Flip it, okay? So I'm going to have +2, and then make sure you put in all of those extra zeros. Okay. And then again, we're doing our synthetic division. Watch out for your signs. And at the end here, we're going to be left with -6. Okay, so now again, just like our last one, I started with x to the fourth, so that means I'm going to start here at x to the third, and then again, just go down from there in your standard form. And this time, what should I have here for my remainder? -6, so make sure it follows whatever sign is there. And we divided by x minus 2. All right. Tomorrow, can you synthetically divide on your test? We see the difference between these two and how we had to start them. Okay. All right, we have our first problem without synthetic division. This is one of two. This one we're going to use long division. These ones are a little bit painful because if you screw up step one, is everything going to be wrong? So really, again, make sure you double check your signs. The 3x plus 1, that goes outside of the divide house. Double, triple check. Are we missing anything? Are we missing anything? Nope. Okay. So I'm going to write this all down. Okay. And now reminder, what we're looking for is how do we turn 3x into each one of these? Okay. So how do I turn 3x into 3x to the third? X squared. I don't need the 3 though, right? No, because it's already got a 3. Okay, so I'm going to put x squared. And then reminder, what you do is you distribute that to both of these two things. So now I have 3x to the third plus 1x squared, or x squared. And now what do? Subtract. Okay, now here's where I'm getting some of you on your homework. I'm subtracting. My 3x cubes are canceling. And what am I left with? Negative 6x squared. So I need everyone to notice this minus goes to the 1. So what we really have here is negative 5 minus 1, which gives me negative 6x squared. I want everyone to pause right now. If you subtracted these incorrectly and you said 4x squared, is there a possible way to make a 3 into a 4? No, so that kind of lets you know that you're wrong if you put 4 here. All right, so now I'm bringing down the 10. And we're starting this process again. Okay. So now this time, how do I make 3x into negative 6x squared? 2x, but it needs to be negative 2x. Negative 2x. So now again, watch out for your sign. So I'm just multiplying by negative 2x to everything. So now I have negative 6x squared minus 2x. I'm subtracting. My negative 6x squareds are canceling. Now again, think of your double signs here. What am I going to be left with? 12x. Yep, the double negative turns it into 12x. Again, if you wrote 8x to me there, can I turn 3x into 8x? No, so that tells you you're wrong. And now again, we have one more time. I'm bringing down the negative 3. And what should we multiply by here? 4. Yep, just 4. Okay. And then we're multiplying into both of those. So I'm going to have 12x plus 4. We're subtracting. Our 12x's are canceling. And we're left with, I'm left with negative 7. Okay. All right, so I have negative 3 minus 4, so that's why we have negative 7. I'm just going to write this over here. So we have this as our answer, and then again, our remainder, I need you to write it as a fraction. Watch out for your sign, so I'm going to have negative 7 over 3x plus 1. On long division, do you have lots of little places to make lots of little mistakes? Yeah. Okay, questions on your front page, synthetic or long division? Okay. If you flip over to our next page, we have our one-word problem. Reminder on this next page, the one-word problem, if you don't have everything, I can't give you full credit. So if you just write down the answer, I can't give it to you. Okay. Is everybody okay for me to click on? Okay, so reminder, this is when we have 3 numbers that we're multiplying and it equals 210. Notice I'm asking you to write an equation and to synthetically divide. So if you don't have those two things, I can't count it. Okay. So the first thing you're going to get a point on is you are telling me x represents our first number. Okay. X plus 1 represents our second number. And x plus 2 represents our third number. That is 1 point right there. Can everybody handle it? Okay. Then it says we're going to take these three things and we're going to multiply them together. No. So then I have x times x plus 1 times x plus 2. And we know all together it's going to equal to 10. Okay. What do we need to do now? FOIL. So I need you to take these two and we need to FOIL them. Okay. So I'm going to have x squared. I'm multiplying my outside stuff, my inside stuff. I'm going to get 3x. I'm going to take my 1 times 2, so to get 2. Okay. Now what are we going to do? I'm going to take the x and distribute it. So I'm going to distribute the x. And then are you guys also okay if we move over the 2, 10 at the same time as well? Save some time. All right, so I'm distributing. Okay. Now from here, would I know if you grabbed your calculator and guessed and checked? Would I know? No, I would not. Right. I'm not going to be standing creepily over you guys while you're taking your test. So right now, let's grab our calculators. And what do you guys want to try? 5. Okay, so everybody grab your calculators and take 5 times 6 times 7. And are we getting it? Okay, so we're going to keep that in mind. So then if we know that just worked, what should I synthetically divide right now? 5. Okay, so we're going to put 5 into the little box. I'm bringing down all these numbers. What should I get at the end here? 0. If I don't get 0, it's wrong. All right, so we know we're right if we get what at the end? 0. Okay, so we know we're right if we get 0 at the end. Again, use your calculator if you need it. No judgment. Are we good? Are we good? Okay, so we got 0. So now what does this mean though for our answer? So 5 works, so what does that mean? 5, 6, 7. So on your test to get full credit, I need to see all of this. If you just say Bayles 5, 6, 7, can I accept it? No, I need to see all of this. What? No. All right, anything else on this problem? This is probably going to be your trickiest one because it's a word problem and word problems scare us. All right, are you ready for the next one that has no synthetic division? It's our last one without synthetic division. All right, so this one is our rational root theorem. And reminder, this is when you're listing all the possible answers. And this is when we take our back numbers and divide them by our front numbers. And what should you always put in front of your answers? Plus or minus, okay? So we're asking ourselves, if I look at my front number here, how do I multiply to 6? 1, 2, 3, 6. I'd recommend putting in order. How do I multiply to 7? 1 and 7. Okay, so reminder, this is when I'm taking 1 and I divide by all of this. I'm taking 7 and I'm dividing by all of this. Okay, so I'm going to say plus or minus, and I'm going to take 1 divided by 1, which is 1. Then I'm going to take 1 divided by 2, so I'm going to get 1/2. Okay, so we're going to keep going. So I'm going to take 1 divided by 3 and 1 divided by 6. Did we divide 1 by everything? Yeah, so we're done with it. And now we're going to do the same thing with 7. So I'm going to take 7 divided by 1, 7 divided by 2, 7 divided by 3, and 7 divided by 6. So those are all the possible answers this one problem could have. It's probably our easiest problem on this test, but people forget it all the time. Okay, questions on this problem? Okay, are you guys ready for our last problem? Sure, okay. All right, so before we even start, this is what we did yesterday. I have x to the fourth. How many answers should I have? 4. What do we need to grab right away? Our graphing calculators. Okay, so we're grabbing our graphing calculators. If you don't have one, please grab one. What is the first button I hit? Y equals. Okay, we're clicking on the Y equals button. If there's something in there, obviously clear it first. And then we're going to have x to the fourth and x to the third and minus x squared minus 9x and minus 72. Before you do anything, double, triple check. Do you have everything right? And then what's the next button you should hit? Graph. So I want you to look at the graph, see what it looks like. And I'm looking at my graph. It crosses it twice. What does that tell us? So there's 2 real answers, and then there are 2 imaginary. So that's how we get 4 altogether. Okay. How do I find those? What do I look at next? The table. Okay, so we're going to hit second graph, which gives us our table. And what are we looking for here? Zeros in our y's. Okay, so I'm seeing these 2. If those don't pop up on your table, you might have to scroll your table up and down a little bit. Okay, so we have x equals -3 and x equals +3. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, so I'm going to click off of my calculator. Is everybody okay? Okay. All right, so those are 2 out of our 4 answers. And then from yesterday, what do I do now? What do we do now? Synthetic division. Does it, oh, I just wrote on that. Does it matter which one I use first? No. I'm going to use -3 first only because I wrote it first. If you already did this problem, you did the 3, you're going to get the exact same problem as me. What should we get at the end to know we're right? 0. If we don't get 0, it means we're wrong. Again, double check your signs. Okay, so I'm getting 0 here. It's what we needed. And now what do? We do it again with the other numbers. So I did -3 the first time, so now I'm going to do +3 this time. And again, what should we get at the end here? 0. If we don't get 0, we've done something wrong. Okay, so we're getting 0 again. And now this is our kind of our new thing we talked about yesterday. If I started with x to the fourth and I just synthetically divided twice, where do I start here? X squared. Okay, so I have x squared plus x plus 8, and this equals 0. Okay. Can I solve this part by square rooting? Can I factor? Can I factor? No. So then what do I have to use? Quadratic formula. What do we already know about these answers I'm about to find? They're imaginary. So if you do not get an imaginary answer, you know you're wrong. If you don't know the quadratic formula, I'm worried for you. This is like the 100th time we've used it this year. Besides the point, you guys used it as expo children and geometry children. And now Algebra 2 children. Reminder, you're finding out what's inside the square root. Don't find the square root, just what's inside of it. Here's getting negative 31. Negative 31, okay. 31, can I simplify it? Can I reduce it? No, okay, so we're going to leave it. But reminder that negative needs to come out as an I. And then do our answers match what was on our calculator? Do we have 2 real? Do we have 2 imaginary? And does it add up to 4 altogether? Okay, perfect. All right.